Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the REDX Podcast. I'm so glad that you're here. We have a returning guest. If you have watched the REDX Podcast for a while now, you know Mike Pallin. Welcome back to the REDX Podcast.
Thanks, Haley. It's great to be with you.
Yes, of course. We're excited to have you back. We've got a fun topic for our audience today. I think everybody that is in the REDX sphere knows this topic is going to be awesome. We're talking about expired listings, of course, our bread and butter here. So, Mike, before we get into the topic, though, could you give us just a brief intro for people that might not know who you are?
In real estate BC, before computers, my mentor and friend and partner, Floyd Wickman, created a training program called Sweat Hogs. And that became the longest running, best results training program in the history of real estate. And then Floyd sold it and retired. Well, he came back. I think he's retired 7 times now, but he came back and we created a new version of the program that's more modern and updated, because the original program was built on a method of prospecting called cold calling, which some people still do, but really is the path of most resistance.
Right.
The new program is based more on building relationships with a client base who do repeat and referral-based business with you. But it's also targeted with expired listings and for sale by owners and other niche prospects to supplement what your, we call it book of business, can deliver to you. So in 2017, Floyd finally did retire and turned the business over to me and my wife, Mary. And so we and our trainers and coaches are carrying the Wickman banner forward. Our purpose in life is to make sure that Floyd's legacy lives forever. Because it's helped like 250,000 successful real estate agents build a business and make real estate their career. Not by learning scripts, but by learning principles and sales dialogue and tracks to follow. You know, scripts sound phony, somebody else's words. But if you know what you're trying to accomplish, you can use your own words and develop your own style. And boy, if there's anything that's missing from today's real estate salespeople, it's selling skills. I don't know if you've seen the numbers. I'm sure you have. I've heard as high as 74% of licensed agents who are members of NAR closed 1 or fewer transactions last year.
Yep.
By the way, what's fewer than 1, folks? That's right, 0. If you got to feed a family, if you have to fund retirement, put kids through school, pay a mortgage, then you got to close more than 1 transaction a year. And real estate is a great opportunity. There's lots of people who are doing very well with it. And I think we've proved over the years that if anyone can do well, you can do well. And we just show people how to build that business and enjoy the income and the lifestyle that it can provide. So that's in a nutshell it. My wife and I live in Naples, Florida most of the year, fly all over the country doing seminars and programs. And then we live in Minnesota for the summer because it's the best 6 weeks of the year.
I bet it's beautiful.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Minnesota's great in the summer. It really is.
Yeah.
So
in the winter, though.
I wanted to talk with you today about expired listings, because in our coaching program, which we've been running now for 16 years, it's kind of unique because it's based on teams rather than one-on-one individual coaching.
Yeah.
Coach teams of up to 8 people once a week for at least an hour. And they track and report their numbers and get to turn the page every week, get support and encouragement. They're with a like-minded group of people. And what we've noticed is a couple of things. And the first thing was from Elliot Eisenberg, the bowtie economist, his blog stated that in December of 2024, 73,000 homes came off the market. Now, some of those were people saying, let's take it off the market for the holidays. Maybe we'll come back in January.
Yeah.
But some of them were frustration because this market is normalizing. In most places, we're going back to the way things were pre-pandemic.
Right.
Where you actually had more than 2 or 3 days on the market.
You have to actually sell the house, unfortunately.
Exactly. Yeah. And 73,000 homes, listings taken off the market. And then this is your research, and thank you for doing this. 135,000 listings expired in January of this year. That's a lot of listings. Now, I think the estimate was that represents $350 million in gross commission that could be earned. Now, I got 2 different people that I want to talk about in our coaching program. I won't use names to protect the innocent, okay? But they both work expired listings in addition to their book of business. And the first one takes 8 hours to do the research to find phone numbers and addresses and email. And, if you're working 8 hours to grind out information, you don't have a lot of time left over to actually make calls and talk to people.
Right.
And I'm sure you can guess what his production is like. Not very good. So we got to coach him up. But the other guy that I want to talk about calls 3 days a week, uses a dialer, and calls expireds. And last year he made 188,000 GCI from expired listings.
Wow.
And there's a huge difference between those 2 approaches.
Right.
How to go after this gigantic amount of business, this incredible opportunity. Now, the second guy relocated from one state to another recently because he was following his wife, who is actually, believe it or not, a rocket scientist.
Wow.
So he went into a market where he didn't know anybody, like a complete fresh start, and decided to work expireds. And he began with an 87-day guarantee. This was a few years ago. And he liked working expired so much, he's just continued to do it. And January 1st, that's when his campaign starts. And he sends them something every week, and he calls them every week and doesn't stop until they either list with him or tell him to stop, or die, I guess, would be the other thing. But 188,000 GCI from just working expireds, that's pretty good income.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, the difference is crazy because, you said a little bit in the beginning about how you do need to focus on your book of business and
Yes.
like your sphere of influence and stuff like that. But what's interesting about this person is they didn't really have much of a sphere of influence because they're in a brand new area. And that's like the opportunity is you can break into a new area with like expireds and for sale by owners. And as long as you are persistent, like you will find business. And even if you do have a sphere of influence, you can't just focus on them because we found that only 3 to 5% of your sphere of influence will list this year. And if that's not going to be enough for you to provide for your family or to reach your goals, then yeah, you do have to expand beyond that. And just hearing this guy's like expired prospecting, you said he called 3 days a week, right?
Yeah.
Like, which isn't crazy. Like that is not every single day just grilling on the phone. Like all it is just an effort and you can see the success. I love that.
In our coaching program, we've discovered the secret of how you can make yourself make more calls.
Yeah.
There's
Let's hear it.
There's two of them. So what I'd like to ask you to ask me, Haley, let's pretend we're in a seminar, okay?
Okay.
I want you to say, hey, Mike, how do I make myself make more calls?
Okay, Mike,
Yeah.
how do I make myself make more calls?
All right, I want you to write this down. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Okay, you can't. So stop trying. No, the
Dang
truth
it.
is, if you could have made yourself make more calls, you already would be making more calls, right? There are two secrets to actually making yourself make more calls, and they both require other people, partners, mates, if you will. You see, we've created this little thing, discovered it, called 5-90-10.
Okay.
And that relates to 5 minutes, 90 minutes, and 10 minutes. The 90 minutes we call smiling and dialing. That's when you sit down with your list and without interruption, without stopping, you just dial numbers or let the auto dialer dial them for you, and you talk to people. You keep track of how many numbers you dial, how many people you talk to, leads you generate, and appointments you set. Now, the 5 minutes refers to the 5 minutes before the 90 minutes, when you and your partner or partners talk to each other and compare notes. Here's who I'm going to call, and this is the approach I'm using. And the 10 minutes refers to the 10 minutes after you've done dialing and smiling. And that's you get back together with your partners and you compare results. Here's how many people I talked to. Here's how many leads I generated, appointments I set, and here's something somebody said to me and I didn't have an answer for. What do you guys think? In other words, Floyd taught us you got to learn from every prospecting session. Get better at it. Here's what I said, and it worked, or it didn't work. And when you compare notes and work at it that way, first of all, when you know that someone else is prospecting at the same time you are, I guess we call it shared misery. Because in all the years I've been training, I've never once heard somebody say, I got into real estate because I love prospecting. No, it's because I love the hours, or I love the opportunity, or I love houses, or I love helping people. It's never I love prospecting. And yet all the good stuff we get from real estate is only a result of the prospecting we do. So if you can't make yourself make more calls, schedule prospecting time with a partner or partners and do a little introduction before you start. Do it at the same time and afterwards compare notes. Now, the guy I told you about that did the 188,000 GCI from expireds, when he gets together with his group, and he does it 3 times a week, they meet on Zoom, and then they go on mute so they can watch each other prospect.
Oh.
So he didn't get up and go get, Starbucks while we were all dialing.
I love that.
Yeah. I do have one guy in Ohio who does 5-90-10 5 days a week. Now he has different groups that he does it with. One group has 5 guys, one group has 4 people, one group is just 3. But he does it 5 days a week. And last year, he listed 122 properties, a lot of them expireds, and he sold 67 of them himself because he's willing to make the calls. Now, that's the one first secret about how to make yourself make more calls. Here's
accountability.
Here's the second one. Oh, by the way, it's accountability too. Mary and I flew out to Colorado a couple of years ago. And This was an exploratory visit. We were visiting the regional director for a franchise company that serves the Denver area. And there are 1,000 agents in this company. And we're sitting there talking to the regional director and asked him to pull up a roster and have it rank ordered by production. I said, okay, what was the total number of closings your 1,000 agents were responsible for last year? And he gave me a number. And I said, okay, let's cut it in half. And starting with the number one agent from your company, let's start adding up their production and see how far down the list we have to go to get to 50% of your closings. Now, out of 1,000 agents, starting with the top, guess how many agents we had to get to half of his total production?
How many?
17. 17 out of 1,000 agents were doing production. Now, okay, if you make allowances for someone who's got a team and they take credit for everything the team does, maybe it's 50 agents, but that's still leaving 950 who are only doing the bottom half of production.
Wow.
So this is the question I asked him. How many of your agents would do better if somebody asked them once a week, how many conversations did you have with prospects this week? And they had to track and report that number. How many of your agents would do better if somebody asked them that question? And you know what he said? All of them. And maybe I'm way off base. I don't know. But Haley, I am seeing a monumental failure of leadership in the real estate business right now. You've seen all the shuffling that's going on at the top. People resigning, restructuring, the DOJ investigating. Floyd always said, when the going gets tough, the weak get going, and the tough get back to the basics. And I don't think there's anything more basic in leadership than holding your salespeople accountable. That it's probably the most compassionate thing you can do for a salesperson is at least be concerned, at least show some interest in their activity level. So that's what we base our coaching program on. Is once a week, everybody has to report how many conversations they had. And from that, leads generated and appointments and signatures. And every week, people, if they meet on Friday, they say, boy, Thursday's a productive day. If you know what I mean, right? And it also gives you the opportunity to wipe the slate clean once a week. Okay, you had a bad week. Let's just set it in the rearview mirror and go forward. It also gives you the opportunity to do the one thing that most people will not do, and that's set a goal and measure your progress toward that goal on a consistent, regular basis. Now, earlier, when Hannah was on and we were talking about what this year looks like, if I had a crystal ball, and I really don't, but I can see the handwriting on the wall, and I know you probably can too. We're going into unknown territory. It's market conditions we haven't seen at least in 5 years, maybe longer, and it's really unpredictable. So if you spend your time reacting to what you think the market's going to do or what it's doing now, as opposed to being proactive and staying on track and using a consistent activity schedule, you're going to get behind. Yeah. Now, if you get that far behind, how much extra effort and time does it take to catch up? Only this much. But what if you get that far behind? What do people do when they get that far behind? They give up. They quit, right?
Yep.
I never forget. One of my coaching clients asked me to consult with her team. It was in Charleston, South Carolina, and I flew down there. And I never forget, it was Halloween. They asked me to come down October 31st. So it's Halloween morning. And I said, what was your goal at the beginning of the year? And they said, we wanted to close as a team, 4 people, $15 million in volume. I said, where are you now? And they said, we don't know. I said, well, take a little time right now and figure it out. So they did in about 30 minutes. And they came back and said, okay, we're at 3.9 million. And our goal was 15. Help me out. If you're at 3.9 out of 15 on October 31st, what are the odds you're going to hit 15 by December 31st? Not good. Yeah, they got too far behind without knowing it. And that's the problem. Ignorance is not bliss, it's poverty.
Ooh, that's powerful.
Will kill you.
Right.
So those are the 2 secrets to making more calls, to having more conversation. Is get prospecting partners and create accountability to a goal with other people, and have someone, preferably your coach, someone who can give you insight into your activity and results, have them guide you. How hard is it to stay motivated if you don't know where you are in relation to your goal? It's impossible. But when you can see progress, even if it's incremental, if you're going in the right direction, it doesn't matter how small the steps are. Eventually, you're going to get there.
Right.
I'll never forget when my son was 15, one of my sons, he saw my goal chart because I love charts.
Yeah.
Conspicuous charting is a great motivational tool. And he's looking at this chart saying, what is this, Pa? I said, well, that's my goal chart, and this is how I track progress toward it. And then he said, well, what happens when you hit that, meaning the top? And I said, you get a car. That was the day he became my biggest cheerleader.
Oh, I love that.
And the people that we coach, their goal has to be holistic. It's got to be ecologically sound, include their family and the people they love in it. Because if it's a secret, and they're like excluded from it, it's hard for them to stay supportive of you.
Yeah.
Because real estate is so demanding of your time and your attention, let alone, going home and still staring at your phone. So, well, I did want to say a couple more things about expired listings, but let me take a breath and you jump in for a minute, Haley.
Well, it's funny. It reminds me of somebody else that they told their kids that if they make all their dials and meet their appointment goal for the month, that they would go to Disneyland.
Yeah.
And so then their kids are just on them like, did you make your calls today? Did you do this? Did you do that? And so kids can be some of the best accountability partners, and you bring them into, it's like a family goal. And I love that. So we are running a little bit out of time though. So I do want to make sure we get to the rest of your expired chat. And then of course, the materials that you also wanted to share.
I did, because when do listings expire? We said in January, there's 135,000 listings that expired. They expired the day they got listed wrong.
Ooh.
It's because somebody priced it wrong. There's nothing wrong with any listing at the right price and terms won't cure.
Right.
We all know that. But what'll happen is you'll be on the phone with a prospective seller, and they'll say, well, what do you think we can get for our house? And you tell them before you've even looked at the house, before you've done your research, and they have no reason to actually meet with you then. That listing expired on the phone. Or they get to the house and they throw a sheaf of comps at people. Here, look at all these comps I've done, research, and it just confuses the heck out of people.
Yeah.
You know, if you got to get to the house and set an agenda, because talking about price before you've looked at the house is premature. Talking about price before you've qualified the seller is premature. Talking about price before they're sold on you and your company until they've acknowledged that, yeah, we think you can do the job, that's premature. That's how pricing becomes an argument instead of three people putting their heads together to come up with a number they all can live with. Pricing is an ethical issue. It's a moral issue. You know, you can get listings just by telling people what they want to hear. But to me, that's unethical. That's immoral. That's not doing anybody any good. And most of the time, that's why those 135,000 homes didn't sell, because somebody other than a professional set the price. So learn when to present price and then learn how to present price. You know, most of the time, you won't even have to show comps. If your price and their price agree, go to net. Take them to the net. If you can live with this net, then we're good. Anyway, I just wanted to get that message in, because I believe so strongly that if you follow the right track on your listing appointments and do things in the order that makes sense.
Yes.
Because you can do the right thing at the wrong time. If you do them in the order that makes sense, you know, first set the table and then qualify the sellers. Then you look at the house and then you show them what you do to sell a house. Now's the time to talk price, but not before then, because up until then, if they don't even acknowledge they believe you can do the job, what you say about prices doesn't even matter.
Doesn't matter. Yep. I agree.
So anyway, that's my soapbox for the day.
I love it. I love it. And Mike, we'll have to have you back on to kind of dive more into that. I think that there's so much more there, and just more of like the selling skills that you talked about and the principles. I think we could talk forever about that. But for today, a lot of
them are in my book.
Oh, yes. So let me pull this up. Tell us about your book.
Okay. I wrote it last year, and I thought, you know, I've been teaching this stuff for a long time. I've said everything that needs to be said. And then somebody shared a quote with me from a French philosopher who said, everything that needed to be said has already been said, but nobody was listening. So it needs to be said again.
I love that.
You know what? I'm going to put all this stuff in a book. So it's called Rethink Everything You Know About Selling Real Estate. It's on Amazon. Yeah, grab a copy. If you don't like it, I'll give you your money back.
Yeah, we'll have that linked below if you're interested. Mike, where can they learn more about the Floyd Wickman team, like where, and your coaching and stuff like that?
Yeah, our website's floydwickman.com. Very simple. FLOYDWICKMAN, floydwickman.com.
Perfect. We'll have that linked below.
Coaching is there. Our programs are there. Our events are there. Workshops. Everything you need to know is all there.
Awesome. Mike, thank you so much for coming on the podcast again. Of course, we'll have you again to dive more into this, because I just feel like we just scratched the surface. But thank you so much, Mike. And thanks everybody for watching. And we'll see everybody same time, same place next week.
Thank you, Haley. And thank you, REDX.
Thank you.